This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. The time of the week where I bring on G Bush, and G's in one of his more modest outfits today. So, you know, tell the people about this thing that you got going on today.
This is more of a adjunct college professor look. You know, just like this is a substitute teacher look. This the joint where, you know what I'm saying? You know, you come into school and I'm like, hey, I write my name on the board. This is Mr. Bush. And all we doing today is taking attendance and we're going to watch this movie. All I ask you is to make sure that y'all don't kill each other, and so that I can continue to come here when the real respectable teachers is sick or they just on vacation. So yeah, this is substitute teacher G Bush.
Look, this is how you know that we are both professionals at this point. G Bush did that whole thing. I did that whole thing, and you know why? Forgot to put my AirPods in, and it was about to be an echo. Had to run and grab them. But that's chemistry right there. Look, right. You knew that I needed to go to that corner to shoot that shot. You know, we knew what it was.
Like, listen, you just keep, you like in this industry, if boys and girls out there, if you really want to do this for a living, you have to be able to feel. You can't just be like, I got 5 things I want to talk about and I'm going to get to all 5, because you might only get to 2 and you might have to ad lib the other 3.
Hey, you got to get real good at the tangent. Look, Eric Spoelstra, right? The stretch, squeeze.
They told me, but when we do radio, hey, listen, they said, look, you might not get no callers. And people don't even want to come on your show. It's Saturday. What you talking about? Like, you got to be prepared for nothingness.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
No callers. 2 guests cancel.
Last moment. They didn't hang up. Last moment. You like, dog? I thought I was locked in with you. Nah, man.
You thought you had a good 20. You thought you had a good 20. Now you about to work for that 20, dog.
You got to. You better have 3 or 4 pet topics. Evergreen topics you could talk about. Brown Stadium 21657.
Oh yeah, that's your go-to. That's your post move is
Art Modell.
Should Art Modell be in the Hall of Fame? When I was growing up, that was always, I always knew the road man was sweating because he'd always go to the that was his post move. He always be like, hey, should Art Modell be in the Hall of Fame? Like, that's the Cleveland version of Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, you want to get some callers up. Look, us just mentioning it right now, we're going to have 80% of the comment section talking about why they hate Art Modell. That's how good of a topic starter it is. Look,
LeBron James, would you take him back for a 3rd time?
Have you forgiven LeBron James, right? That was before he came back, right? Like them 2010, it was a dark time for Cleveland Sports Talk Radio. I know we give the people who have had to hold it down a lot of slack because, you know, sometimes they be tripping. But I do have to respect the fact that they went through a 10, 20 year period where maybe one team was good.
You know, they went through that process. I think about it. We were so bad that we were more known for the people that was in the media, and they had a competition to just say, they come up with creative ways to say that the Cleveland Browns or our team suck. Like that was just that was it. Like, so now, actually, to be truthful, I find it handicaps us a little bit, Q, because what it does is stop people from actually understanding what we were supposed to be doing. Like, we supposed to be watching the games. We supposed to be we supposed to be like not having all or nothing takes. We supposed to have, be able to talk about the gray areas. And when you're bad for so long, it really does. It stunts your growth, and you don't grow as a media, or you don't grow. You don't have a sense of a fair voice because you're just all on, the margins, hyperbole.
I think it happens both ways too. Like if the Browns were great for so long, it wouldn't be difficult. Like you see these guys who, they're New England sportscasters, or even like I think Pittsburgh, the media people out of Pittsburgh kind of exhibit this the best, where they've been good so long that they stopped evaluating at some point because all they had to say is, we're going to be good. It's Mike Tomlin. We got Ben Roethlisberger. We're going to get 10 wins, right? And the analysis was really easy. Right now for the Browns, like you got to work to figure out where this team is at every year, we're used to doing that here, but you listen to like Pittsburgh stuff or Boston stuff, and they still think stuff like, basically they think shit's sweet. Like when they talk about quarterback, we look at their situation and go, oh, no, I know how that goes wrong. I've seen that go down before. Like we've been there. We look at that and we go, we can see the disaster coming. Since they haven't really had to break down their team in a while, and they've been kind of leaning on the consistency that their team has offered, they are having a hard time recognizing it. Like Kenny Pickett wouldn't have caught Cleveland by surprise. We would have knew what that was 4 weeks into that experience. We knew what it was when they drafted Kenny Pickett, right?
And we was excited for him.
Yeah, all of us in Cleveland were like, they drafted their Colt McCoy, right? Like we saw it coming. We told them that we saw it coming, and they didn't want to listen to us. And it's like, we are used to having to be skeptical about the team, but I think it goes both ways. So when your team stinks, the analysis is always easy. We don't got a quarterback. Our team don't have no Pro Bowlers. We stink, right? And I think so many people have gotten caught up in that we stink kind of mindset that they have not. It's the same thing I talk about with the Patriots. Right. They don't know how to evaluate the team on just based on what they are, because they haven't done that in 20 years.
And this Q is going to get worse too, because guess what? When they give Barry and Stefanski that extension, and Deshaun Watson plays pretty good, then you really going to have to work hard, because now you can't just say fire the coach or the play calling, or like you can't lean on a lot of the old tropes, because hey, even now it's pretty much a brand new staff. There's no Bill Callahan talking points. You got to figure out what Dorsey is, right? Yeah, like, so, for some people it's exciting because it is something new that you can look and dig into, but for some people it's gonna be hard.
I would love to know, like, go through a study of if a team like the Patriots were bad for a while, right, and then they got Tom, they were good. Who else was bad for a while and suddenly got good? Seattle was always decent.
It was mediocre.
Yeah. But like the Patriots are the biggest example. And I wonder if
the Chiefs is a good example. I mean, the Chiefs, when they got Patrick Mahomes, they've had a nice run, but I mean, they weren't like,
but they were always decent. Like I'm saying, like who went from bad to really, really good? And I wonder,
Bengals count?
Nah, because they were always decent. Like at the bare minimum, they were always a decent, interesting team. But I think maybe the Patriots, like before Tom Brady, would be the best example. And I wonder, like, do the media personalities kind of change because of that kind of shift in a city? Because when you're so used to, it's like basketball changes. It's like, oh, we're moving away from the post, right? When the team starts to win, all of a sudden, what the fans want out of the media starts to change. All of a sudden, you've been sitting there, giving your post shots about how bad the team is, and you good at that. Yeah. We suck rant, and that's your hook, right? That's your big hook.
That's and your money maker.
We was all listening to it when the team was garbage. But if the team's not garbage, then different players become in style for the audience. I was just like, I wonder if that's a real thing or something I'm making up in my head. But it seems like you can see that kind of power struggle almost go on.
We're sitting here right now. Yeah. We sitting right here now, because here's the thing, or you was the guy that was the coldest dude breaking down the draft. Mm-hmm. But it's different when you draft in 29th or 30th. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you don't need a quarterback. So now you gotta pick out D linemen. You're like, well, your team is pretty good. It's tough being that guy. I do believe that. I think I take it maybe back in the day, Tampa Bay was an expansion team. They were horrible.
Yeah.
They got Sapp and Brooks and Lynch and those guys, and they won a Super Bowl. They had to at some point pivot and say, okay, well, this is what we are now. Let's figure a different way to tell the story about what we're doing with this organization. And I think they struggle with that a little bit because, it's the last remnants of what they've been used to, right? The Baker stuff is pretty much gone. They can only talk about the coach or the quarterback. When the quarterback plays well, as I expect him to do, I think it'll be a little frustrating for some people because you can't just roll the ball out and say we suck and get 35 phone calls.
Think about all the things the Browns have made it very hard for people to kind of get off on because it's like the uniforms don't stink anymore. It's like
Myles Garrett is defensive player of the year.
Yeah, they have legitimate star players. Right. we're a far way away from the Carlton Mitchell days, right? Of the Cleveland Browns, where
what a name.
Yeah,
what a name.
Yeah, where people calling in, like remember when people were calling in talking about Austin Watkins or whatever his name was? He should be playing for the Browns, get some tick. Imagine that. But like instead of it being somebody getting elevated off the practice squad, they talking about him starting. Like that's how down bad them rosters were back in the day.
Deshaun Kaiser, like, boy.
No. Deshaun Kaiser was a second round pick. Kevin Hogan. People arguing about should Kevin Hogan start. That's what
Austin Davis.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I forgot about Austin Davis.
Connor Shaw.
Hey, TG's favorite.
Oh my gosh, man! This is just,
hey! It was shout out Thad Lewis. Shout out Thad.
Oh,
yeah! Shout out Thad Lewis.
Hey, we thought. Listen, like when we was trotting these dudes out. I mean, think about it. We was stuck. We giving Wildcat snaps to old boy from Ohio State. I can't. Good gracious.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor. He was doing everything. He was taking the snaps, throwing the ball to himself. Like he had it. I'm like, this is nuts, man. Like when they said they tore it down to the studs, Sashi Brown basically just torched the whole foundation and was like, listen, let's just start off and our number one receiver.
No, basically they decided in 2017 in 2016's offseason, that they were just going to become an expansion franchise again. That's basically what they did. And they were much more successful the second time than they were the first time. Like
that 2 year stretch, Q, that almost, and I'm not exaggerating. That 2 year stretch, like, was messing with my health. It was like to have to wake up that early in the morning to go to be on the radio and look at 1-31, to know that like when you watch the game and to know that there was no chance of you winning.
Oh. So 2017, that was the year they went winless, right?
Yeah.
They got Myles Garrett. All right. And they needed to go winless to get Myles Garrett, which is a part that nobody talks about. So, hey, I'll go winless again. Okay.
It sucked at that time. I mean,
it did.
It pays dividend now.
But my whole point is when that season was happening, I lived in California, which meant I had to watch those games at 10 in the morning.
Man, look.
And I was paying bread to go watch those games.
They might charge you at the bar.
Hey, I remember for the first time in my life, I decided, you know what? I'll just catch the condensed game.
Condensed game saved a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, I was working 2 jobs, trying to pay rent in LA, and the Browns was providing me no relief from that reality, right? So it was difficult. It was definitely a difficult time. But yeah, I still will contend, no season to me was more miserable than like that second year of Colt McCoy. Okay,
well, that was the Mangini
was that
years,
Brian
right?
Dable? Yeah, Brian Dable, Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme. That almost made me not like football. And I watched spring football. Okay,
the Mangini years was so bad because like this dude, like you ever just you ever be in a relationship or you see somebody in a relationship and it's your people's, you're like, that's not it. Like, I know you might think it's it, but I'm telling you, my brother, that ain't it, bro. You can get better. Trust me. All you gotta do is lose about 20 pounds and get you some extra hours over at the factory, and you can get you something. Why are you messing with Jody over here? Jody is not it. That's the Eric Mangini. Like, it was just like, and every
you know what it's like? It's like when somebody like talks about their friend and how great their friend is, and you meet them and you don't get it at all.
You're like, what it? Whoa,
I don't get
this
what you see.
This is what you've been hyping up?
Yeah, like I don't think he's funny. Like,
yeah, man, like, and it's like, funny when it's a man crush.
Yeah,
hey, man, I've been hanging out with this dude at work.
This the dude. That was the energy. Basically, what we had with Eric Mangini was this the dude.
This is the guy.
Dude. Like, at least look, give Hugh Jackson all the flack in the world he deserves. But at least you understood why Jimmy fell for it, because Hugh Jackson is immaculate at the press conference, right?
Yes.
Like, immaculate at the press conference.
Hugh Jackson is really good at
I could never understood what made all these people love, because it wasn't just the Browns. It was, they were calling him the man genius. And I'm like, I think it literally just comes down to him having a fun last name. Like, I think that's what all it was that he had a fun last name and they like making puns about it. But all time, horrible decision. Shout out George Kokinis. Y'all remember him? Speaking of GMs that nobody remembers, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns draft. G, real quick, man. What are you hoping that the Browns get out of this draft? Do you think they're in best player available, or do you think they have legitimate needs on this roster?
I don't think they have legitimate needs. I'm just greedy. I'm more of a, I like splash. You know what I'm saying? I like guys that can get it, get it done. I want to be over the top. So if you ask me, I think this is a good receiver class, and I like a guy. I like receivers. I like to, if you want, because I'm at this point like this. We got Deshaun Watson, and he has 3 more years on this deal. I want to maximize everything that he can do. I want to make sure he has all the ingredients. I'm going to overdo it. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make sure he look good. Ain't no more making, like, I'm going to give him everything that he need to do to be successful, and so that we can actually get people on board and move forward and saying, this is the guy. I understand that, you did get Judy. You got Amari Cooper. He's on a 1-year deal. I look at David Bell as a serviceable receiver, nothing crazy. We'll see what Cedric Tillman. He's still a young guy, but I want a receiver. I want to be aggressive, and he tells me that Dorsey is aggressive. And to do what they want to do in terms of moving this offense forward, I go with receiver. Now, I wouldn't be mad or salty if they got a tackle, if they think Jed Wills may not be here. I wouldn't be. So I like some tackles in this draft. Wouldn't be mad if they got another edge rusher, right? They're actually at a point where they have a luxury of taking pretty much a number of people because of the way the roster is situated. There's not that many open positions for starters on this roster. So for me, in years past, the dumb Browns would probably trade back. But I don't want to trade back. I want to get a guy that can play, and I think there's enough guys that can make an impact.
I think the Browns are really going to target between 54, and 160. I think that they'll try to maneuver this draft. They have extra 6th and 7th round picks. This is not a team that's going to roster a ton of 6th and 7th round picks, if any at all anymore. I mean, next year, this year, they're just not. They're too talented right now. They're too stacked. There's really not room for anybody to be guaranteed a roster spot that's taken outside of the 4th round, maybe. In the 4th round can get cut, right? Like, that's just where they're at. So when people hear me say, hey, they should get rid of a lot of those picks to get guys that they can roster, they go, oh, you want to give up all these picks just to get one fit? And it's like, I want to get somebody I can roster versus a bunch of dudes I know I'm not. So I think the Browns are going to be aggressive. Like, I don't know how aggressive they are at trading back from 50. I think it would take them having to move back maybe 5 spots. I think it's the maximum that they'd be willing to move back in the second round, because I do think there's going to be a packet of players available to them that they like at 54. So I think more or less they're going to try to move up maybe 6-7 spots from 85 to land another crop of players. They're going to try to move up from 156 into the fourth round. And maybe try to, like, I think they would be happy if they could take 3 or 4 guys in the top 160 of this draft versus using all of those draft picks. So I think that's where they're at. I think they're going to be aggressive in pursuing that. I know that they're, the Twitter experts are always going to have some criticisms about, how many draft picks are you giving up to get one spot? But think about it like this. They're not going to roster 4, 6, and 7th round picks next year. That's what they're scheduled to have. They have 4, 6, and 7th round picks. They might roster 1. So,
that's if that, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell everybody this year, whoever they draft, if they draft at 247, if they draft at 230, if they draft at 206, it is likely that all 3 of those players might be on the practice squad at best.
But yeah, like, you got to think about it. I mean, they got 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They if you look around, they got 3 starting caliber tackles, right? I mean, 2 tight ends that are locked to make the team. They got
and they just brought in Jermaine Ifedi.
Yeah, they just brought him in. Defensive linemen, pretty much everybody came back.
They still got James Hudson.
Yeah, now they're a little thinner at linebacker, but they still, like, if you wanted to today and said roll out your roll out your 53. I mean,
they'd have a tough time getting to 53 without those draft picks right now.
Right. Today.
Yeah.
So I believe you are correct. Now, there are certain positions that I think they won't take. I don't think they take somebody in the secondary. I don't believe that they're going to take a guard. I don't think so? I don't know. I don't think they'll take a guard.
I think they might, just because Joe's getting up there. They might want that flexibility with Wyatt Teller's contract next year if they want to make a bigger move for splash free agency.
Let me ask you this. I'll be interested to see if say one of those guys did go down. Could one of those tackles play guard?
If one of the guards went down?
Yeah.
I think James Hudson can play guard. I think Jermaine Ifedi can play guard. I think Jack Conklin has played too many reps at right tackle to switch to guard without him.
Yeah, I think he is who he is.
And Jed, this is a similar thing. He's played tackle so much, like Alabama and the NFL, that I don't think he's going to be, like, look how much difficulty he's had switching to the left side based on just the reps that he had at Alabama. And this is the one thing I think people are slipping on with Alabama tackles, right? I think people think that they're all bad. I don't think the Alabama tackles are all bad. The problem is that people keep drafting these Alabama tackles to flip sides.
Yeah,
and flipping sides when you play to Alabama and you're used to, and shout out to my guy Vach, right? Jab, push, roll, right? And you practice that not just during the games, you play a ton of snaps, but you practice, like, they practice more than anybody at Alabama. So they're doing a ton of, like, contact practices for these guys. The amount of reps that he has doing that hand, it's just cemented in to the point to where when you try to flip on the left, Jonah Williams or Jed Wills, it gets it's a disconnect. He's thinking about that, and it's not as natural to him. And he's left-handed, which I did not know. And
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, makes, like, a lot of his struggles make a ton of sense. So, I wonder, like, how they're going to be able to work with that. I just think Jed's a right tackle at this point. Like, I think that's just what it is and what his problems are. but he's good enough at left to where you can hold it down, especially when he's consistent. But I think the reason he's not consistent is because he's out of position. I think if he was at right tackle, he'd be a little bit more consistent, because I think it's that thing about thinking about where those hands go, right? Sometimes he's smooth with it, right? Okay, right. Yeah, got it, boom, I'm smooth with it. But sometimes he gets caught, he's like, and then he gets beat inside, right? Like, it's like writing with your left hand. Even if you work at it and you put a ton of work at it, you get to a point to where you can get into a groove with it. But then something happens, you get a 10-yard penalty, you get out of it, and now you're writing scribbly letters again. So I think it's just a tough spot for him. I think that if I'm the Browns, I would go after left tackles, like somebody you really think can play left tackle. It's interesting to me that they haven't brought in Roger Rosengarten for a workout, because he's somebody you would want to flip. And I don't think you draft somebody you want to flip if you haven't worked them out to see if they can be natural and flip on that side. Now, Kingsley is a left tackle. They've looked at him. Christian Jones is another one that I hope they get in, or go to his pro day to see him, to like see if he can do the left or right stuff. Because some of it is like, you could be a great right tackle, but you just can't play the left side, right? Like Lane Johnson is a great example. Great athlete, great right tackle, can't play the left side. Like, he can't get it right in his head to flip his whole mechanics. So, and that's going to be interesting to see here. But, G, always a joy to have you on. It's draft
always good
week.
Talking ball with you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You must have had to go to work today, because you got a modest suit on. You're not dressed like you about to go to the hookah bar.
It was the TV. It was a TV day. You know, I just I had to just throw it on. You know what I'm saying? Something light. You ain't got to go like
I ain't see no Cuban on you. I'm like, okay. Yeah, the big boss was at the set today, huh? Like, there was no acting up today.
Corporate's in the building. Corporate's in the building. We got that zipped all the way up.
The parent company is in the building. Like, it's not just the station director today.
I came here.
Zenga is in the building. Tenga is in the building, dog.
Tegna 1 has landed.
Like,
Eagle 2 is on around the corner. Yeah, I was like, man, you ain't
Tyvus had to take the hat off, you know.
Hey, listen. They let Tyvus get his hat on, you know what I'm saying? They let him get his, you know what I'm saying?
That's the privilege of being a national champion, right? Like, you won a national championship in Ohio State, so you just get to keep your hat on any goddamn time you want.
I'm working my way up to trying to see if I can get a do-rag, though.
You trying to get like me?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the do-rag. Like, if I could get the do-rag, you know I made it. I'm the man. It's my show. I got a do-rag on.
This is how everybody knows I own this. Okay?
Right. You get that off. Right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then if they press me, I'm gonna say it's a religious rag. This is religious.
No. Stop it. Stop.
Don't press me. This is part of my spiritual outwardly. You
gonna start a controversy, and LeBron James gonna have to tweet about do-rags as if they are a spiritual rite of passage.
They are. This part it is our birthright. You can't tell me to take that.
Hey off. Man, what happened to these early 2000 do-rags? Like, I just thought about this. We was wearing cotton do-rags, man. Like, why were we doing that?
You see, back in the day, you used to just cut pantyhose up, you know what I'm saying, and put them on your hair. And then they had the satin boys. Like, the satin boys don't give a little bit. You didn't get no more extra waves because it don't fit to your hair. Crazy. It was like a curtain.
Man, do-rag technology has really stepped it up in the last.
Ain't it right? They don't even leave no marks on your forehead no more, bro.
And you know what? Shout out to do-rags. They made it back. They made it back, man. Like, look, do-rags was so out of style when I was in high school. The thought of wearing a do-rag in public was insane. And now it's back.
It's back. Listen, I told you.
And you know what? It proved, right? Because when we left it, we had with the cotton joints, the black and white joints. They were such bad do-rags that you never tied them, right? Like,
shout out to Joel Santana.
yeah. The thin line in the front. Like, y'all, your line ain't flat up here. Like, you ain't trying. Like, then we came back with the good do-rags.
The Neapolitan two-tone boys. Bro, I can't have half and half with the Neapolitan. I can't do it.
All right.
I'm sorry, y'all. We just be playing around. Don't get mad. Don't get mad.
All right. There's somebody there with the cotton do-rag that is furious at this segment. Right. Like,
still wearing Sporting Wave.
You ever look at somebody's waves and you like, yeah, I know that was 2004. Like,
listen, some people's waves don't even age well. Like if you got waves on the side, like if you only, because usually some people's waves only come on one side. If you ain't got them all the way around, you might as well give yourself a fade. Don't get a taper, a fade. Just have them on top.
Hey, We've learned. Just let it grow and sponge it. You know, that'll do better for you. You know what I mean? Look, we get football advice. We get football talking points. We talk about the media. And we gave y'all some hair care at the end of this show. We give you it all. But y'all have a great day. Have you a better night. Peace.
Peace.